Hey, what's going on, guys? So people have been asking me to do like a buyer's guide video for Christmas, and I got the same thing last year, and to be honest, it's just really hard to come up with something like that. I mean, people have so many different needs, there's so many different knives, so many different budgets, so many different purposes to have a knife. Some people just like having a knife in their pocket just for general purpose. Hey, I need to cut something, it's cool. Some people need specific knives for their jobs or careers. You know, some people just collect them, some people just use them. You know, it's kind of hard to just randomly pick knives. I mean, there's so many good ones, and some people might think, well, just pick your favorite ones. I love every knife, I really do. I like some more than others, some are more comfortable, some are perform better, but I love knives. That's why I do what I do, and I love trying new ones all the time. So instead of doing a buyer's guide this year, I mean, I could come up with, a somewhat comprehensive guide to, I guess, what's popular, at the time. But honestly, mid-December now, it's a little too late for that. The shipping has been absolutely insane, not only because it's 2020 with everything going on. Christmas is already a very busy time for the Postal Service and UPS and FedEx and DHL and Amazon drivers and everyone else out there, trying to get packages to people. It's already 10 times what like the normal shipping process would be, 10 times as many packages. Then throw in the fact that no one wants to go in the store because they don't want to get sick. So there's even more people waiting for packages. So I've never seen the mail slash, shipping stuff been so delayed in my entire life. It's insane. I feel like even if you ordered stuff last month, you might not get it before Christmas. It just depends on what you're getting, where it's coming from. So at this point, I think it's a little bit too late to come up with a holiday buyer's guide, so to speak. Perhaps, I'll do something similar, maybe some knives I liked in 2020, in January, because some people get, Christmas money, and then they're sitting on a bunch of cash, ready to buy stuff in January. Maybe. We'll see. But today I kind of wanted to focus on an underrated knife. So it's not really a buyer's guide, so to speak, but it's a knife that I wanted to bring more attention to. I wish I could say this is the most underrated knife of 2020, but it didn't come out in 2020. It came out last year. And this is the Gerber Fastball. All right, and I did a video on this knife. I love this knife. I have this in my, EDC rotation. I use quotes there kind of loosely because I have a set of knives that I basically decided to keep for the long run. There's some more popular stuff, some of my PM2s, some 940s, Spyderco Sage, just some random cold steels, some different knives I just really like, and I don't want to necessarily trade them or sell them or get rid of them anytime soon. And when I got this knife and I used it and I did a video on it, I decided this was one of those knives. I wanted to have a representation from Gerber that I really liked. And I've always been a huge fan of their Applegate Fairbairn folder. It's just a classic knife to me. It's a very specific design. Has some advantages over other knives, but when this came out and I got a chance to use this thing, I thought, wow, this is a fantastic knife from Gerber. And I think it's extremely underrated because people have kind of written off Gerber as a company. I know a lot of people who are seriously into knives, you mention Gerber and it's just like, it's like bringing up Hitler. I mean, people just go, ugh, they get a bad taste in their mouth even hearing it. Gerber, ugh, so... Gerber, legendary blades, right? Isn't that their logo or slogan? I've liked many Gerber knives over the years. And yes, I would say in recent years, because again, using that loosely, because I don't know exactly when they kind of went off track there. I couldn't pinpoint it to a specific year or time. When I was younger, I used a ton of Gerber knives. Being a early teenager, I didn't know much about blade steels back then. I didn't really use my knives for, purposely driven cutting tasks. I tinkered. I was a teenager, so I cut some wood and I cut a branch, take the bark off a tree limb, fiddle around, cut up paper or cardboard with no real purpose other than just wanting to cut stuff, things that kids do with knives or young teens. And so I didn't value at the time, high quality cutlery and really understand the difference and stuff. It took many years to really experience hundreds and hundreds of knives, at least 1,000 knives plus, to kind of just go, yeah, there's some knives that are much better in a lot of different ways. In comfort, and just literally stay sharper longer. There's knives that can literally get sharper than other knives. Some people don't realize that. You can take a cheap knife and you can make it as sharp as possible, and then you take an expensive knife and you make that sharp as possible, and depending on the blade steels, one could literally get sharper. So yeah, performance is definitely a factor when you start kneading your knives and you start using your knives a little bit harder, and you start to really experience a variety of them. So anyway, all that aside, Gerber as a brand unfortunately has like a big stain on its name. And like I said, for the most part, the knife people, the people who value themselves as, educated cutlery connoisseurs, and they only buy, high-end cutlery, Gerber's not even a blip on their map anymore. They're up in all different kinds of brands and custom makers and mid-techs and all the rest. But this is a very underrated knife. This is a fantastic knife made by Gerber, made right here in America. So many people comment on my videos. I make a video and I say, oh yeah, it's a really cool knife, it's made in China. Like, whoa, China. You lost me at China. I only buy all American. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, as far as your knives, you could be a little bit more selective. As I've mentioned many times in the past, it doesn't matter who you are or even where you live. You own something from China. You've supported China. I'm not going to get into a whole soapbox about that, but it's just what it is. But I understand as a hobby, you could be selective and just pick knives made in America, or just knives made in Germany, if that's your thing. Whatever you're into, that's totally fine. I have nothing against it. But here you go. For people who only want to buy knives made in America, this is a fantastic one that you need to take a look at. So if I zoom into the back of the knife here, you can see right there on top, made in the US of A, Portland, Oregon. All right, and this one's sporting S30V. S30V in a comfortable package. All right, this is kind of like an all-around good EDC knife because it's not too big, it's not too small. It has a very kind of it's not such a detailed design overall. The profile doesn't have like crazy finger choils and all kinds of things poking out of it. I mean, this would be comfortable in most people's hands. Now, obviously, depending on your hand size and shape and everything else, you may or may not get a hot spot from something. I mean, I don't really see what would cause a problem. I have fairly large hands and it's very comfortable to use, all right, multiple grips. I think it's just a versatile design, all right. It does have a Wharncliffe style blade. You may or may not like that. That's a total preference thing. Obviously, there's a million different blade profiles and shapes and sizes and stuff. So, if you're not into that, I totally get it. But it locks up great. No blade play at all. It is a liner lock. I know some people, they don't like liner locks. Some people don't like flippers. It happens to be a flipper as well. But it's a great design flipper. It's not protruding out too much. It's very comfortable to use. Zips out nice and fast. Locks up nice and tight. I mean, it's pretty much everything I can see in a general purpose little EDC knife. And it doesn't break the bank. These things used to be closer to $100, but now they sell for 75 bucks. $75 for all American made knife. Again, pretty versatile across the board. Obviously, preferences will change things. You might not like this or that or the other thing. But anyone can pick this up and use it and enjoy using it. It's nice and sharp. It has a decent point on it. And these sell for about 75 bucks. This one is the Sage version. Sometimes I look at this and it looks more like it's gray than like some kind of a greenish type color. It's like, to me, 95% gray with 5% green mixed in. But they call it Sage, so that's just what it is. Carries very nice with a pot clip on the back. All right, you can see this is swappable on 3 sides of the 4 because they don't have, or because they went with this pivot style, they don't have any holes drilled or tapped on that side. And it's kind of a little bit unique. Usually you don't see a knife that has 3 different carry positions. Usually it's 2 or 4 or 1. 3 is kind of an odd number. So you can carry this tip up, right side or left side carry, or tip down right side carry. You cannot carry this tip down left side carry how you would traditionally carry that. But I don't know anyone specifically lefty that only likes tip down. That's like a really rare, preference for carry. But anyway, now here's the kicker on this knife. There are 2 more versions of this. All right, besides the Sage, There's the all black, completely blacked out, and then there's the all gray stonewash version. All right, so if you like it all gray or all black, that's cool too. I like the, you know, kind of contrast between these two colors with the blade finish and the handle. And those are all 75 bucks, but there's two more that are 110 and 115, and they're sporting CPM 20CV, one of the most amazing steels in history, a huge favorite of mine, and totally, absolutely worth the extra money. But the kicker is both of those are cleaver style blades. I don't know why Gerber did this. Now, obviously, you know, the cleaver thing is kind of popular, and I get that, and they have their other cleaver style knives and stuff, and I'm sure they sell well, so like, yeah, I'll go cleaver. That's like a very specific thing. I don't know if it's a fad. Some people like it now, maybe later they won't like it. It's obviously not as versatile, completely, you know, blocking off the tip of the knife. You don't have a tip, a point. And I know so many people who really utilize a point, whether it's, you know, a very, very acute point, very pointy point, or even if it's like, you know, a more rounded point. People use their point all the time. Okay, even if you're just, you know, penetrating into a box to cut it, to slice it, whatever, people use their point on their knives all the time. All right, now when obviously you have a cleaver style, you do have somewhat of a point, and I talked about that. So even if I broke the tip of this knife off, the very edge here would be the new point. It would be very, you know, wide, but technically I guess it's a point. But I don't get it. I mean, I think that the cleaver thing's cool and everything, but why not offer one in cleaver and one in, you know, either a Warncliffe or maybe something more traditional like a drop point, clip point, something like that. The CPM 20CV, again, is amazing. If you happen to be a huge fan of cleaver style blades, that is a must-have knife for you. American-made CPM 20CV. I think the blue one is 110, and they have another one in Coyote Brown with a black blade. Same thing at CPM 20CV, but that's like $5 more or something. So 115, 110, in and around that range. That is awesome, but not everyone's into the cleaver blade. If this exact fastball with the Warncliffe here had CPM 20 CV for the 110, 115 price range, I'd be all over it. I love this knife in S30V, but I would absolutely go out and actually buy one. I would spend the money on it, which I normally don't do. I trade for a lot of things. Of course, I would try to trade for it first, but that's how much I like the knife, that I would get the 20 CV version of it. But again, the cleaver thing, like I can, you know, take it or leave it, but it's definitely not my preference. I would prefer this Warncliffe over it. But yeah, I mean, it just, you know, generally speaking, this is a fantastic knife. And again, I love it because it has the Gerber logo on there. Growing up and starting to really get into the whole knife scene in the early 90s, Gerber was a big thing. Gerber, CRKT, Kershaw. I mean, these are the knives that you saw everywhere. And it's not just Walmart. All right. When I went to, you know, outdoor stores, Ramsey Outdoors in New Jersey, which, God, I haven't been there in years. That was the place to go, you know, and they were carrying those brands, CRKT, which it's funny because some people still call that Cricket. I hear that all the time still. You know, oh, you have any Cricket knives? I'm like, Cricket? I don't know if I've heard of Cricket knives. You know, CRKT. It's Columbia River Knife and Tool. That's what it stands for. You could just, you know, go ahead and read it as it looks. Cricket. But yeah, Gerber, CRKT, Kershaw, those were just the top three. They were just everywhere. And Buck Knives. Buck Knives always made an appearance, as well as Schrade. They were kind of off to the side a little bit there. But Buck and Schrade were also extremely well known at the time. And maybe those are the Fab Five. CRKT, Buck, Schrade, Gerber, and Kershaw. And Gerber was just always around. I had multiple power frames, which by the way suck. They stink. That's a liner lock or frame lock rather that just doesn't work. It folds all the time. I don't know why. I've had multiple of them. They all fail. You can, you know, with the blade open, you can just go ahead and push it closed. I have no issues with this lock. Again, some people have some gripes against liner locks. This is perfect. It protrudes out just a little bit. It has a little bit of jimping on there for grip, but it's not uncomfortable on your finger. So many knives, especially cheaper knives that have jimping on the liner for a liner lock, it protrudes out enough where when you squeeze on it, you know, when you have a normal grip and you're squeezing it, it's very comfortable. In this case, I don't feel it at all. It's fantastic. But it locks up totally fine, no issues with it. You know, I don't know what people are doing with their knives that they're breaking their liner locks. You know, I don't have issues like that. But the Gerber Fastball to me, like I said, is kind of a sleeper. It works. Again, the American-made thing is a bonus for a lot of people. For some people, it's a staple. They have to have it all American. but you want it to be affordable. And when you go all American, unfortunately, manufacturing costs are just extremely high here. It's not cheap to make knives in America. That's why there's so many knives made outside of America in various places. So anyway, it's just, I don't know, it's one of those things. I mean, Gerber will always be, you know, in my heart. It's where I started, a bunch of cheap knives. Now, I will say a bunch of Gerber knives suck. And there's a bunch of them that you should just completely stay away from. It's a waste of money. But they still have plenty of other knives that are decent and in some cases great. And this is just one of those few examples of a great Gerber knife, all right? Post 2000s, you know what I mean? It's just worth looking at, to me, in my opinion. You know, if you have it all, if you got the Spydercos and the Benchmades and all the other ones and everyone cares about and all the popular stuff and the ZTs and you just want something different and you're new, like I would say there's a ton of teenagers that probably don't even give Gerber the time of day. You know, if they ever mention it, hey, I saw there's a Gerber in Walmart, I'm sure they got shot down. Someone's like, don't buy Gerber, they suck. And they don't even consider it. The entire brand is written off, and it shouldn't be. I've said this from day one getting into knives. Every company has good knives and bad knives. Now, there's certain companies that even their worst knife is still usable, it's still decent. And then there's companies, you know, like Gerber, where their worst knife is really a worse knife. It's horrible, unsafe, and you should not even look at it. However, every company has its winners, and this is certainly one of the winners from Gerber. And like I said, I mean, they have a couple autos that I absolutely love as well. Very high quality, American-made stuff. I would say that anything that Gerber makes that's made in America happens to be very good, and it's priced very reasonably. You know, it's just worth considering. Back when it was like $100, when I reviewed it, I think this was closer to $100. It was like $90 or 90 something dollars. And even then I loved it for the price, but now that the prices have come down and on average you're seeing these for like 75 bucks, it's even a better deal. And who knows, maybe they'll get even cheaper. Maybe there's a sale, you can pick one up for 50 bucks or something. I would definitely jump on it. But anyway, it is a shame about the cleaver style blade ones. Those models are, they're awesome too. You know, they look nice. The Coyote Brown combo is really cool. A little pop of blue on the other model is really cool too. It's just, I don't have anything specifically against the cleaver blade. It's just not as versatile to me, you know, so I'm not as interested. But anyway, let me know if you happen to pick up one of those cleaver ones, what you think of it. But, you know, 20CV is just, it's amazing. Awesome stuff. Anyway, that's all. Hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.